What's up, all my Triples, droids, and Wookiees? It's Anna, also that Star Wars girl, and in today's video, I'm going to be going over the reviews, the early reviews that are out for the new Batman movie, The Batman. Now, just so everyone is aware, if you guys are new here, welcome to the channel. Maybe take a minute, smash the subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications. In case you didn't know, Batman is my favorite superhero, so I've been very much anticipating this movie. When it was first announced, there was a lot of backlash about how they cast Robert Pattinson, the dude from Twilight, as Batman. I, made my feelings about it perfectly clear, and, I stated this is a genius move for the movie studio, because guess what? You don't have to like Twilight. You don't even have to have seen Twilight to know that this is a genius business move, because all of the girls that love Twilight, all of those people that, were obsessed with Twilight, then they shifted, now they're all shipping everything, they're obsessed with, like, the Raylo stuff, all of those people are going to go watch this movie. They're going to get a ticket. They're going to go see this. They're going to watch it on streaming. They're going to buy every single t-shirt that's got his face on it. Of course, they're going to ship him and Catwoman, all that stuff. This is genius. They're going to make so much money off of the merchandising alone, because all of those women that were obsessed with Twilight and obsessed with Robert Pattinson, they're like, oh my gosh, I had my Edward Cullen doll. Well, now I'm going to get to have Edward from Twilight in Batman, and the whole new fetishes are going to awaken, and so of course that's going to be hell on the internet, and it's going to have a lot of lulz for all of us. But it's a genius move, and I mean, from other movies that I've seen him in that aren't Twilight, he's actually a pretty good actor. So I was like, wow, that's really, really smart, because they're going to, cash in on all of those Twilight fans that have been waiting for Robert Pattinson to get back into some kind of, franchise-like film. So that was a really smart move. These two are absolutely fantastic actors. I am so glad to see them as villains. It's going to be really interesting to see Colin Farrell as a villain. And the fact that it's the Penguin and the Riddler working together, and then we got the film noir type, and we're actually going to get to see a detective story, allegedly, of Batman, and I'm really intrigued. I love film noir movies. Of course, I love Batman, and a detective story with all of them. It's like, really? We're going to get this? That's great. Please don't fuck it up. Please, please, please don't fuck it up. So that's been my opinion on it since the beginning. And of course, I absolutely adore Selena Kyle. Zoe Kravitz is kind of the one that I'm on the fence about, because I feel like every performance I've ever seen her in, she's been exactly the same. Like, her character doesn't change for the movies that she's in. So this is like kind of the mystery, is she going to be any good in it? But so that's just how I feel about the movie so far. As you guys can see here in my tweet, I got my tickets. I'm really excited to see it, but at the same time, I've gotten, the rug pulled under me, or from under me, when I've seen other movies that I've been excited about. So it's really up in the air on if it's going to be good or not. So with that being said, now that that's out of the way, let's go take a look at all of these reviews from critics. Remember, these are the people that got to see it early, so take that in mind. So we have this post here from IGN. Matt Reeves' violent, thrilling, dark, beautiful take on the Batman more than justifies its place in the franchise canon. 10 out of 10. Now, when you rate something 10 out of 10, I mean, that better be a 10 out of 10. That better be the best movie ever freaking made, right? Because I don't know, I think it's kind of hard to give a movie a 10 out of 10, because that means it's perfect. So for a news site to give a movie a 10 out of 10 is like, all right, who's writing this and how do they grade movies by? This is the scariest Batman yet. Right from the violent opening scene, the message is clear. This is not your mother's Cape Crusader. This is a creepy, angry, white-knuckle-inducing psychological thriller with a heavy dose of cinema noir. And believe it or not, Reeves absolutely pulls it off, achieving a grimly but beautiful masterpiece. The Batman stands on its own, but it's still dripping with cinematic references. Among the movies I thought about while watching, the Zodiac, Seven, Chinatown, and Saw. How come there's not a link for Chinatown? I feel like that's like the most iconic one here, but whatever. You don't know what I didn't think too much about. Most of the previous live-action Batman movies, its gritty realism is most similar to Christopher Nolan's trilogy, but this is a refreshingly bold new cinematic take on The Dark Knight. Interesting. If anything, its grounded nature is a lot like 2019's Joker. Fantastic movie. But the difference here is that Joaquin Phoenix thriller didn't really need the A-list DC villain's name to tell its story. Of an impoverished man forgotten by society, The Batman, on the other hand, is still very much a Batman tale in a surprisingly loyal way. It pulls from the remix's various storylines from the comics in daring yet respectful fashion, all while being very different from what we've seen on the big screen up to this point. For one thing, it's not a Batman origin story. Reeves knows we know Thomas and Martha Wayne are dead, and he correctly assumes, oh, spoiler alert, guys, in case you guys didn't know, Batman's parents died. And he correctly assumes we don't need to see them get gunned down yet again. Okay, so there's no Martha and Thomas death scene, in case anyone was worried about that. Instead, we're dropped right into Batman and Jim Gordon's vigilante detective partnership. It takes place late enough in Bruce Wayne's story to not retread scenes we've already seen a million times, but early enough that he's still got a lot of growing to do before he's the knight flawless superhero. We don't see the beginning, but we do see plenty of development, as well as some clever call-outs and additions to the histories of several Gotham families. Alright. Matt Reeves' dark vision for the Batman is one that was seamlessly much different than the one Batfleck was originally set to write and star. Good! Batfleck is fucking terrible. Pitched years ago, Reeves revealed in an interview with Esquire Middle East that he had a chance to direct Affleck's Batman movie, which he said was almost James Bondian, but passed. I said, look, I think maybe I'm not the person for this, and I explained to them why I love this character. I told them that there have been so many great movies, but if I were to do this, I'd have to make it personal so that I understood what I was going to do with it, so that I know where to put the camera, so that I know what to tell the actors, so that I know what the story should be. That is great! Wow, and that's extremely refreshing to hear from somebody in Hollywood, that they want to be emotionally connected to the movie and it's not just about money, that he actually loves these characters. Oh my god, this is giving me hope, guys. This is giving me so much hope, which makes me worried because I've had hope before. I had so much hope for Star Wars, and then I was sitting in the movie theater, and I'll never forget when the stupid guy just drops the Yo Mama joke, and I was like, oh, what the hell is going on? And I was like, you know what, it's just a hiccup, and I'm looking at Luke Skywalker, and the music's intense and the wind's blowing and he's holding the lightsaber. He looks all intense, and then he throws it over his shoulder, and my heart dropped, and I knew Star Wars was gone and dead, and all the hopes that I had for them fixing or answering any of the questions that were presented from The Force Awakens just died in that moment. And I was so angry, and it is what it is, and the journey has gone on since then. But this makes me hopeful. And oh my god, I really hope this movie is good. Now, this article is pretty long, but let's get back to it. So this kind of just highlights, as you guys can see up here on the screen, kind of how Robert Pattinson is going to be, just a little bit more vulnerable. He's going to be a little bit more emotional, and there isn't going to be much of, a difference between him when he's not in the suit versus when he's in the suit. Maybe it's because Robert Pattinson is a little bit, how old is Robert Pattinson? Maybe in his 30s now, but he looks a little bit younger. And so maybe because this is, he's just getting started being Batman, he hasn't really honed in on those personas yet. So that's kind of what it says. And from other reviews I've seen, they all kind of concur about that. And then this next part says that, Zoe Kravitz and Paul Dano steal the show as Catwoman and the Riddler. Now that's good to hear, considering I'm, pretty skeptical of Zoe's acting abilities, but Paul Dano has been fantastic in every movie I've seen him in, and it'll be interesting to see how he, personifies the Riddler and stuff like that, because one movie that I would say, if you want to see him play a villain, just kind of a scandalous character, is if you've ever seen the movie with Daniel Day-Lewis, There Will Be Blood. He is just insufferable in that movie, and that's a good thing. That just is a testament to his acting ability. And the author even highlights it here. As for Dano, his Riddler is easily the best live action Batman villain since Heath Ledger's Joker. This is a far, far cry from the previous most famous Riddler performance by Jim Carrey, with Reeves putting a modern murderous spin to the wordsmith that's heavily influenced by the real-world Zodiac Killer. Dano sinks into his unhinged yet genius killer with terrifying realism. Seriously, Dano managed to give me chills with a single eye movement in one scene. Now, that's actually something that I think Dano is actually pretty good at. He's very expressive with his, with his face and even with his body language. But he's one of those actors that you can tell, if he's gonna go crazy just from like the look that he gives you or the look he's giving the other character. Again, if you go watch There Will Be Blood, you can see that, in his prime there. The best Batman villains are the ones who challenge at least 2 of the 3 of his mind, morals and body, and this Riddler puts the first 2 to the test. Whenever Pattinson and Dano face off, it's impossible to look away. Colin Farrell and Jeffrey Wright, too, are formidable as the Penguin and Jim Gordon, respectively, with both responsible for a few very welcome moments of levity. Farrell is deeply unrecognizable as the mobster and seems to be having fun under all those prosthetics. Wright, meanwhile, has a nice buddy cop dynamic with Pattinson lending to some of the best campy, in a good way, detective noir moments. Now, people have tried to explain to me what campy means. I don't get it. I don't see how this is. I don't know, maybe I'm just getting old. I don't get this slang. And whenever people use it, I feel like it's wrong. But that's just me. Andy Serkis's Alfred Pennyworth has a different relationship with Pattinson, a parental one that connects to him to the Wayne family roots and packs an emotional punch we needed. Now, this paragraph kind of highlights that, the last hour of the movie, because this is a 3-hour long movie, it's when, the big fight scenes happens and it's got all those payoffs there, but she kind of goes into just talking about the cinematography and the look of it, which I'm like, if you're paying more attention to the background and the color palette when there's a big fight scene going on, I don't know. Is this an artsy movie or something like that? Because this kind of felt weird compared to everything else that she said in this article. All right, the verdict. Batman is gripping, gorgeous, and at times genuinely scary psychological crime thriller that gives Bruce Wayne the grounded detective story he deserves. Robert Pattinson is great as a very broken Batman, but it's Zoe Kravitz and Paul Dano who steal the show, with movingly layered Selena Kyle Catwoman and terrifyingly unhinged Riddler. Writer-director Matt Reeves managed to make a Batman movie that's entirely different from the others in a live-action canon, yet surprisingly loyal to Gotham lore as a whole. Ultimately, it's one that thoroughly earns its place in the iconic character's legacy. Now, here's one thing I would like to pick out. How does this woman know that, it's loyal to the lore? Because something tells me that this chick isn't exactly, like this chick right here. I don't exactly think that she's the biggest Batman fan. And I wouldn't expect her to be, kind of an aficionado on, the Batman comics or Gotham or basically DC in and of itself. So when I see people that say this, it's like, okay, let's see your credentials. How much do you actually know about Batman? And just given from this article, it seemed very, I saw the movie, so I can talk about the movie, but there's no outside. Well, she was giving a spoiler-free review, so I'll give that to her. But just based on this review, I wouldn't say that she tied anything into the lore, how things actually happened in the comic. Now, that was the one review from IGN. Now, I have gone through a lot of the other reviews, and it basically kind of just says the same thing. It's basically every single news site nowadays, they all write the same article. It's just how they present the information, and I personally liked the way that information was presented there. I think that even though I don't think, or I haven't seen any credentials on this woman to know if she's an actual lore expert to, make the claims that she did about it being true to the lore, but I think that she put it very eloquently the way that she gave her review. And again, every other news outlet is putting out the same article, just worded a little bit differently. So I thought that was a very well written review, and it made me, I don't know, like the only thing that's kind of off-putting that I've seen so far was the way that she described the last hour and how it's the big fight scenes, but she doesn't spend any time describing the fight scenes. She's talking about the cityscape and the colors, which, I mean, as you guys can see here, yeah, it's an iconic look. I feel like Batman is usually associated with either yellow or like blues and kind of darker, where this is like red, everything's burning, which kind of just makes me think of the Lego Batman and his little song. But maybe that's just because she was trying to avoid spoilers. So I'll make my final assumption on it after I've seen the film, and I can see was she just was the final fight scene just not that epic, and so she was distracted by the colors and the background and the buildings, or was it just as a way to kind of avoid spoilers? And yeah, that's kind of my thought on it. I feel like I was, you know, I'm still in the same place. I'm a little bit skeptical now of the ending because of that, but I explained why I'm skeptical about that. But anyways, guys, let me know what you think about all this down in the comment section below. Are you guys excited for this movie? Are you going to see this movie? Do you even care about Batman? Or are you like a huge Batman fan and you like are on the edge of your seat waiting to see this movie? Let me know in the comment section below. And guys, if you haven't already, please smash the like button, please, and thank you. And if you haven't already, maybe take a minute, smash the subscribe button, and ring the bell for notifications. Make sure that that bell is set to all. That way you actually get notifications when I do other videos and live streams. And until next time, everyone, I hope you guys all have a great rest of your day, morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you are in the world, and may the force be with you, because we are really, really, really going to need it. Bye, everyone. Once again, thank you so much, everyone, for watching my channel and my content. And if you would like to support me further, go ahead and check out my Etsy, The Art of Anna TSWG, where I sell prints of my original oil paintings and drawings. I have a variety of characters, from landscapes to horror villains to Star Wars characters, DC and Marvel. So go check that out, and everyone have a wonderful day. Thank you.